Once again, it is your boy, the failed author, doing what was thought as impossible, but it's not. Here today, my friends, we are ranking every single Goldeneye 007 on the Nintendo 64 enemy that you come across in the main campaign. Or at least I hope I found every character. It seemed to be a lot more than I remembered. But anyways, here we are. Let's start off with a strong one. And I know what you're asking. How are we ranking them? I'm ranking them on how memorable they were in the campaign, at least for me, of course. Ooh, who has played this game and has not called this poor guy assface? Or an ostrich? I'll take either or. What were they doing with the dark circles on the eyes, the buck teeth, and the Lloyd Christmas haircut? It was just begging to be made fun of. Let's get some simple S tiers out of the way. I think Xenia, very memorable. Unfortunately for her, I am pretty forgiving when it comes to the Nintendo 64's graphics. I think it was ambitious, and I think most of the time it works pretty good, where people today seem to poo-poo on it a little too easy for my liking. I remember how excited I was when all this stuff was happening in real time, and it blew my mind. So I'm going to forgive her and her triangle boobs, but an S tier character nonetheless. Now let's go to the big baddie himself, Trevelyan. I kind of went back and forth, but I think a B is a fair ranking. He could have just had a little more going for him. The total black getup and the lack of a hat or a monocle really set my man into a B tier. I think Baron Semeny absolutely belongs in the A tier, and I'm going to tell you why. It's not just the chiseled abs. It's not just the top hat. It's not the smile. It's that sick medallion, too. Hey. Let's keep going in. Let's get some of the more funny ones out of the way. When I think of memorable Goldeneye enemies, I'm definitely going with my boy Frankenstein. I know I'm having a hard time reaching some of the characters, so we're going to have to come to him later. But let's talk about this guy. I put the James Bond icon on the cartridge here because this character always bothered me. It looks just like James. It looks like Pierce Brosnan's model. For that reason, I'm putting him in a B tier. I thought, was this the Russian endgame? What are they trying to just make more Pierce Brosnans? But of course, I digress. Now, Egg. Ugh, Egg is so bad. We're going to go with some characters here that, unfortunately for them, had a real shootable face. And I'm going to tell you right now, the boy Egg had a real shootable face. This guy, unfortunately, old babyface, he looks like a guy that has the name Cole, has a punchable face, but not a shootable face. Frankenstein. Between his purpley hue, that giant gnarly scar, and that sick Stone Cold Steve Austin beard combo he's got, S. S tier, very shootable. He's one of those you could shoot in the face, and it's very satisfying. Now, I know what you're saying. That's oddly graphic and specific. But it is a game, guys. Calm down. And a very over-the-top, goofy game at that. Boris, I think I'm pretty comfortable putting Boris in the A tier between his very generic nerd glasses and Hawaiian shirt. Got the cool wristbands too, I think that's a proper spot. A tier for him. A tier. Speaking about Frankenstein and the weird purple hue that this game kind of has, one of the most just generic, odd-looking characters with one of the most oblong political, weird-shaped heads. I couldn't even think of something funny to call him. Just so generic. I couldn't stand it. There's one other guy. I did have a good name for him. Call him Icy Hot. And Icy Hot gets a B because he has that twerp kind of shootable look to him too. But his deal is he's got that real tight-lipped mouth that looks like he just J.O.'d with Icy Hot. B tier for him. General Omarov, I think a C tier. It's like he's a little too generic, even though he's got the specific getup and the hat. The hat. Ooh, don't even get me started how that sets you apart. But it's just not enough to move him up. One of my favorite characters is a good old Dewey. Dewey from Malcolm in the Middle, of course. Goldeneye 007. He gets an A tier. Another, unfortunately. That hamstery look he's got going on is very shootable. Krusty. Krusty's a fun guy to, take shots at. I'm putting him in C tier. I couldn't even this, it's just, you look at some of them and you're like, what's going on here? Just put Milky down there. I can't stand him. Egg, Dewey, Milky. They got the kind of corner of the market on the blonde hair. I just, neither of them. No, sorry, none of them really pulled it off, except for my boy Dewey, of course. Pedostache is such a weird look he gets to see. He's got the whole ass eyes looking kind of, in two different directions. He's got the weird part. He's got the pedostache. Very memorable. Gingivitis, firmly down in the D tier. That he's got that really young look to him. I don't know what's going on. Middle-aged Mark, I'll put him in a C tier. You wonder what the Russian military's doing, employing 45-plus-year-old men. Wonder why they're getting toppled all the time. Hey. Squiggy's familiar. I'm putting Squiggy in the B tier. This guy, now this is a fun story. This looked like my neighbor, Louie, and almost identical to him. So I feel like I have to put him in the A tier. And he flirts with S tier personally, but I know not everyone's cup of tea. Steve Buscemi, on the other hand, we will put Steve Buscemi, ass eyes himself, in the S tier. Just quite a find, quite a build on their part. Good job, Rareware. Now, what you're thinking about this guy. This is like Stossel. He is the urinal watcher. You can't tell me that face doesn't look like someone that would creep over the wall of the urinal. I don't know what he's plotting, but I don't want to find out. All right, I call this guy Magic the Gatherer, and it's because he looks like he is a gatherer of magic cards and firmly in the C tier. The Giga Chad, besides having gingivitis, has a Stone Cold Steve Austin beard, and for that reason alone, he gets put in the C tier. He doesn't get bailed out as much as Frankenstein, doesn't have as much going, just looks like a Giga Chad. David Arquette, we're going to put him in the C tier. He looks like David Arquette, but not enough for me. Speaking of celebrities, we have Tom Green rounding out the C tier. And finally, we have Monk himself in the D tier. Just not enough going for those bottom. The C below, they've got something. Some of them have some fun characteristics. Some don't. I think I'm actually, in retrospect, going to put Pedostache up to B. I think that's appropriate. Krusty Slurt in there. Middle-aged Mark. It's, close, but not quite enough. But anyways, this is your boy, the Failed Author. Now, if you do want to see me rank the multiplayer characters, I could do that as well. But go ahead and drop a comment and let me know what you think. What do you think about Assface? Where's Frankenstein on your list? What about Monk? Maybe Middle-aged Mark? You tell me. Go ahead, subscribe, comment, like, do all that fun stuff if you feel so inclined. I'm the Failed Author, and thanks for watching.